Hey, this is Steve and my giant pimple Lewis coming to you for myothercareer.wordpress.com, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to get started writing screenplays. I've had a couple emails and messages from some people that have seen my YouTube videos or stumbled across my blog, and they've all said, hey, I want to start writing screenplays too, how do I get started? So instead of replying back to everybody, I'll still do that, but instead of replying to everybody and not sharing this information, I thought I'd do a video and hopefully help everybody out. So let's get started. Number one, you need an idea. Without an idea, you can't write a screenplay. You can't write a novel, you can't write a short story, you can't write anything unless you have a story or an idea you want to write about. So it seems silly, it seems intuitive, but you'd be surprised how many people say, I got this great opening to a movie. Then I ask them, well, what's the story about? And they're like, well, I don't know yet. Well, not really the smartest way to work. That's like saying, hey, I got this great engine, but I don't have a car for it. You kind of need the car. So you need an idea. Now, you don't have to have an Oscar award-winning idea. You don't have to have the most original idea in the world. The point to get started is to not have a great idea, but to just have an idea. Because without an idea, you have nothing to write about, all right? So once you get your idea for your screenplay, you got to think, well, I don't know how to write a screenplay. How can I educate myself on this? So second thing you need to do is you probably need to buy a couple books. Other option is you can enroll in a screenwriting class, but it's going to cost drastically more than buying some books. And I've got a couple books here today I'm going to share with you in order of importance. And you can all get them pretty cheap. You can probably buy all four of these that I'm going to show you today for under 50 bucks. The first one, and probably the most important, is Sid Field's Screenplay. Now this book's been in print since I believe the 70s, and Sid updates this all the time, every couple years, so the movies that are referenced in here are always current, or at least within the last 4 or 5 years. They're movies you know. They're movies you've probably seen. Now, the subtitle for Screenplay is The Foundations of Screenwriting, and the reality is that's what this book is about. Screenplay is going to introduce you to what a screenplay is. It's going to educate you on the objective of a screenplay, and it's going to give you a good introduction into how a screenplay is structured, how a screenplay is formatted, what drama is, what conflict is, what characters are, and a great overall picture of screenwriting theory according to Sid Field. Now, Sid will go into his 3-act method in Screenplay in pretty good detail. That's my little pup, Elizabeth. It's not the only theory out there, but it's a really good one to get started with. Sid writes in a very accessible and easy to understand manner for a first-time screenwriter or someone who's never even written before. Even if you don't write screenplays, a lot of the things he talks about can be adapted into short stories and novels as well. He really helps introduce new writers to a critical way of thinking about how to structure their story so that it's both entertaining to read and it accomplishes its goal, which is to introduce characters, show you conflict, give you drama, and have a payoff in the end so you feel like you went on the same journey that character has. Now the second book is a companion to Screenplay, and I would encourage you to buy both of these together, and that's Sid Field's The Screenwriter's Workbook. Now, the Screenwriter's Workbook is the closest thing to a textbook you can really find from Sid Field. It's really I think it's a 10-week class that he does, and he's adapted it into book form so anybody can do it themselves. Now, paying to take a Sid Field class is very expensive, so I would recommend shelling out what did I pay for this? 16 bucks for this book as opposed to going to one of his classes, because just from a cost standpoint, it's expensive. I'm sure you can find both of these books much cheaper on Amazon than buying them new at a bookstore, but Screenplay was 16 bucks too. So even if you bought these new, this is 32 bucks. And if you're only going to buy 2 books, buy these. The Screenwriter's Workbook is going to take you through all 10 weeks of this class. You can do it at whatever pace you want. He's going to give you exercises to understand your characters, flesh out your characters, create drama. It's a phenomenal companion to Screenplay because it's going to take what you learned in Screenplay, put you in a classroom setting, and walk you through step by step from idea to a finished first draft. And it's slow or as fast a pace as you want. I use this book and the exercises of this book as a content mechanism for myothercareer.wordpress.com when I first started. And if you look back to some of the earliest posts and some of the earliest pictures on my Flickr stream, you're going to see this book in there. So, enough about Screenwriter's Workbook. There's two other books that I have that were recommended to me from some people that you might find interesting and useful as well. Now, the third one is also called Screenplay, and Writing the Picture, and it's written by Russin and William Missouri Downs. This is kind of a textbook as well. It takes what's in Screenwriter's Workbook and Screenplay and puts it into one book altogether. In addition to covering the 3-act screenplay, Writing the Picture goes into a bunch of other screenwriting theories as well. It also will show you some images and help you out with some methods on structuring your story, which includes note cards, how to look at a beat sheet, and a bunch of different exercises in there. The second half of the book is a workbook that you can use to set up templates. There's a bunch of references in there. It's a good reference book to have, and it's a really good contrast to Sid Field's methods because Russin and Downs don't concentrate on just one method. They try to introduce the writer or the reader to a couple different methods and the pros and cons of each of those. Now, they do mention screenplay in this book, or Sid Field's screenplay in this book a couple times, but like I said, they contrast it with other methods, and it also talks about how to get agents, how to submit screenplays, and a bunch of other industry-related stuff that Screenplay and the Screenwriter's Workbook kind of shy away from. And I think it's better that they do shy away from that in these books, because really, Screenplay and Screenwriter's Workbook are an introduction, and at this point, when you're first starting to write, you really shouldn't concern yourself with how to get an agent, how to get a manager, how to be submitting stuff. The important part when you're starting is to just write, just to get that first screenplay out. So, this is a good tertiary book or a secondary book, but I wouldn't recommend this as the first book you get. Now, the final book, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I think just as important as the other ones, and that's How Not to Write a Screenplay by Denny Flinn. This is a good book to read after you've read any of these other books, because what it does is it goes over a bunch of mistakes and cliches amateur writers and even some experienced writers do in their screenplays. And it does it in a manner that you can have a lot of fun in. It doesn't put you down, but it points out bad things, and it points out why they're bad, and it points out ways to fix them. So I found it was really a refreshing read, and it's really easy, nice big print. It's got samples from screenplays in there. It was a fun book, and I think, let's see, what's the price on it? The price on this is $17. Price on Writing the Picture was $21.95. Again, I'm sure you can find all these on Amazon for cheaper, but How Not to Write a Screenplay was a really, really fun book to read, and I like to flip through it every now and then because although it shows you what not to do, more importantly, it shows you how to do things that you're unsure of right. So it's a good resource to have. It's cheap, and like I said, it's a good tongue-in-cheek. Now I have other books, but I thought those four were probably the most useful.